Are you tired of the cookie-cutter approach to education that's stuck in the last century? Are you seeking a win-win situation where your family thrives, your kid's education is revolutionary, and you still get to chase your own dreams? Welcome to Unschooled Unleashed. Unlock your child's genius. I'm your host, Matthew Jarecki, an unapologetic rebel dad and promoter of what many consider to be educational anarchy. You know the world isn't going to be won by those that just toe the line. It's the innovators, the visionaries, and the resilient spirits that are going to thrive. Our mission here is to forge those world changers within our very homes with less stress, energy, and time. Unschooled Unleashed starts now. Welcome back to another fantastic episode of Unschooled Unleashed. I'm your host, Matthew Jarecki, and today we're going to talk about all the negatives of socialization in the public school system. I go off on a little bit of a rant because I had an awful experience, and if you want to hear that, stay tuned because we got one for you. So with that, let's dive in. Today we're going to talk about the downsides of a public school socialization for your children. I think public schools are often praised for socialization, at least here in the United States, and I think that the kinds of social interactions and lessons that the kids are actually learning are very negative and have very unhealthy dynamics. So today we're unpacking the hidden downsides and why home education, specifically unschooling, might be a healthier alternative. And I do believe it is a healthier alternative. I wanted to do this episode because I wanted to challenge the assumption that public schools provide that better socialization, because I often get asked the question when people find out that I'm doing home education, well, how are you going to socialize your children? It's assumed that public schools offer that type of socialization and that it's good and it sets you up for success. And I don't think that's the case. So let's dive right in with the myth of a good socialization in public schools. Public schools are often seen as the gold standard for teaching kids how to interact socially. I do not think this is the case. The reality is that many of these interactions are shaped by unhealthy dynamics. For example, bullying, cliques, exclusion. Not normal. In the United States, we have freedom of association. We can associate with whoever we want. If someone treats me horribly, I don't have to be around them. I can not do business with that person. I can leave the institution that I am maybe giving my business or that I am affiliated with. I can quit my job if they don't treat me well. I had a very difficult public school socialization experience. So this one is near and dear to my heart. In public schools, you do not have freedom of association. It does not mimic real life. They segregate by age. That doesn't mimic real life. I mean, you're not just going to interact with people your own age. That's just not the way this world works. And I can get away from the kid who is physically harassing me, verbally harassing me. I mean, I don't even get why people think that this is a good thing. I mean, I understand that being around other children is a good thing, that having friends, being around a lot of kids where you can meet a lot of people who might find people with interests similar to you. But what you're going to sacrifice are potentially a child's self-esteem. I know with my experience, I was picked on every single day. I went to public school in 9th grade after being homeschooled for a couple years. So my first day of high school, it was just awful. I didn't have a friend there. I didn't know anyone, and everyone treated me horribly. I was not welcomed. And this was supposedly a quote-unquote good school, because in the United States, you have to physically move to a location where there is a quote-unquote good school to actually attend. You can't just choose your school in most places. This is a major issue. I could not get away from it. I did not like it. I did choose to go to school. That was my choice. But, I thought there was something wrong with me with the way they treated me. And I'm like, wow, I need to change. No, the truth is they were just mean-spirited people. They were just mean people. And they found every single thing that was wrong with me and put it out there, and a lot of it was false. And a lot of it, it took a long time to get over. And it made me who I am. You either are going to fall when these types of things happen and not be able to get back up, or you're going to become stronger when you get back up. I chose to be stronger. It's part of the reason why I do this podcast, is because I had such a horrible experience. And this wasn't just day one. This wasn't just 1 year. This was all throughout high school. I don't want anyone to go through that at all, because I think that it took a long time for me to figure out that a lot of the stuff that they were saying and doing to me was not okay. But it wasn't evident to me, and I didn't want to talk about it because I didn't want to put a spotlight on it at the time. We're kids, doing the right thing, going to school but it was all nonsense. I bring all this up today because I saw a tweet. I'll find her name and I'll put it in the comments. She tweeted all the negatives of a public school socialization and why you should homeschool. Why this is a reason why you should homeschool your kids, and it just got me thinking. And then I came across another tweet from a woman who has her third grader in the Mentor City School system. If you don't know where Mentor is, it's on the far east side of Cleveland, Metro Cleveland. And this is my backyard. This is happening right here. And what happened is she sent her third grader, who she quote unquote never had to worry about, just a good kid, got along with everyone, all this stuff, started noticing some changes, started to inquire about it, found out that she was getting bullied on the bus by a fifth grader. And again, she's in third grade. It wasn't just bullied. As she peeled back the layers and got more involved and contacted the school and then went over and looked up the law, had to file a lawsuit. She finally got video footage of what was happening on the bus. And it turns out it wasn't just one kid. It was two. And they weren't just verbally harassing her. They were beating her on the bus, and no one told the parent. Wow. That's incredible. I can't tell you how much this upsets me. This woman filed a lawsuit. Sounds like she did all the right things. I fear I would have lost it if I would have found out about this. I would have lost it. This is unacceptable. To this day, as far as what she says, that girl who initiated hitting her child and harassing her child on a daily basis still rides the same bus as her, even though there were complaints and a lawsuit. It astounds me. This is not good socialization. How on earth can we say you have to ride to work, kids work, right, with a person who beats you? A restraining order is more appropriate. That kid should have been kicked out. This has just set me off. Sorry, guys. It really upset me. And it's funny because it got a lot of attention because Elon Musk replied to this tweet that this was sent out, and he said not good, and it got a lot of attention. He did that yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. So that was as I record this, it's Sunday, so he did it on the 21st of December, 2024. This is the state of our school system. I don't think it's okay. There's no acceptable reason that girl should be on that bus. She should have been expelled from school. The people who were involved with trying to cover all this up should lose their job. I'm just astounded. Makes me want to go down and picket. Either way. I try and take what I see on social media with a grain of salt. I'm only hearing one side of the story. But the fact that, this got national attention. I don't know. It really frustrates me. Anyways, moving on. Let's talk about bullying and the toll it takes. This girl was being bullied. I was bullied. bullying is pervasive in schools, and with many children, they experience this verbal and physical abuse constantly. It impacts their self-esteem, and we wonder why we have a mental health crisis. Maybe it's not all due to that. I have no idea. I'm not an expert on this, and I just speculate. But I certainly know with my own mental health, it took a major toll on me, showing up day in and day out with no choice other than to sit there and get harassed constantly by a group of people. I had gum in my chair. I was pushed around. I was hit. I was thrown around. It wasn't until I started standing up for myself and physically fighting back that it started to subside. I saw my friends have this happen to them. And when I say friends, I got a friend in high school because he moved in with me and then went to the same high school because he had to get out of the school system that he was in because he was getting bullied and failing all his classes. So he moved in with me and my family my senior year, and he got picked on just like I did. And we actually had to band together. It's wild what goes on. And I think everyone kind of knows this, and they're trying to do something about it. But how can you stop kids from doing this? And if you don't remove the kids who are causing all the problems, this is the social dynamic that you're signing up for. I don't think it's good. I think this can lead to anxiety, depression, and long-lasting impacts on self-esteem. Not good. This is what you're signing up for, guys, if you want to send your kids to public school. And hey, let's say maybe they don't get bullied. Okay, great. Maybe they're the bullies. That's not a good dynamic either. I think very few people come out of school unscathed by this type of harassment. Moving on, because that one's just too hot for me. The problem with labeling. Public schools tend to categorize children. I don't like this at all. They're smart, athletic, troublemakers, shy. I think that creates these fixed identities that limit many people's growth. We have to overcome these labels that they put on us. And it's not just teachers. It's not just the schools. It's the kids. They label you. They put you in these little cliques. And you can't break out of it very easily. These labels can become self-fulfilling prophecies. And I think they pigeonhole kids into the roles that they want to escape. At least that's the way I was. I was a nice kid. I was trying to be nice to everyone. I was trying to be friends with everyone. And I think they mistook my kindness for weakness. I was trying to do the right thing. I was raised with morals. And then they put me in this, and I chose to be there. I went into a school and they just ripped me apart. And I didn't stand up for myself because I turned the other cheek. I did not realize that standing up for myself was okay. And it's something that I learned when I joined the Army, because I got picked on there too. I won't go into that. But I stood up for myself and I got respect. Because bullies only pick on people who they know won't stand up for themselves. You don't have to be rude. You don't have to act crazy. You just let them know there's a line. And if they cross it, there will be a price to pay. Anyways. Moving on. Pop culture and peer pressure. Is this really what you want to send your kids to school with? Is to experience that in school, kids are constantly exposed to pop culture that you may or may not agree with, much of which promotes materialism, has shallow values. We're really conforming to the lowest common denominator of values. If you have one kid that gets away with something, then another kid is encouraged to do so because he knows he can get away with it. And then you got another one, and all of a sudden, you got a mob of people acting silly, and the peer pressure is to do the same, or you're an outcast. Awful, awful, awful. We look to these icons in Hollywood or in music who literally promote things that are, I consider, demonic, awful. You don't have to look very hard to find just awful, awful things out there in the entertainment world. And yet this is what kids look up to, and there's a lot of pressure to look up to them. You have this pressure to fit in, whether it's about clothes, whether they have the right phone, whether they act the part that they're supposed to play. This creates a stress-filled environment that I just don't think is healthy, and it does not mimic the real world. I know that I experienced a lot of pressure to try and fit in, and I just chose not to conform because I knew I couldn't compete. I knew that I had to sell my soul to try and fit in. I had to pick on other people that were getting picked on like me in order to fit in with these people. And these people weren't good people, so why would I even try and fit in with them? I didn't want anything to do with it. I just wanted to stop getting picked on. I wanted to be accepted for who I am. But that's not the way schools work. That's not been my experience, and I don't think much has changed because I think it's been that way for quite a long time. I already touched on this, age segregation and the loss of that real-world socialization. Public schools separate by age. This creates an unnatural environment where children not only only interact with peers of the same age. This is not how the real world is. People interact across all ages, yet kids miss out on these valuable lessons, and I think that home education is far superior because children are interacting with adults and then start to socialize with them, right? That's interacting with them, socialize with them. When they socialize with them, they learn behavior and how to act from people who are adults. I think it's superior, as opposed to the lowest common denominator kid who sees what he can get away with, and then everyone's peer pressured to start acting silly too, or you're an outcast. I don't think that's good. I think that it's good that kids learn how to interact with kids who are younger than them too. It's not just one age. Of course, you're going to gravitate to the people who have the same interests as you, and that often has implications with age. And I think there's nothing wrong with having friends that are about the same age as you. I'm 44, and my friends are all within, 10. I shouldn't say that. A lot of my close friends are around my same age, within a 10-year window. But I have people in my life that I consider very close in their 80s. I have people in my life who I consider close in their 20s. I don't think that segregating by age is the most healthy way to do it. I think we need a lot more than just one age group to interact with. Cliques exclusion, and mean girls, the mean girl phenomenon. This is schools often foster these cliques, leading to exclusion and feelings of isolation for kids who don't fit in, right? I don't want to focus just on women, but there is this weird phenomenon of mean girls where the social hierarchies are reinforced through manipulation and exclusion, and I think it leads to this toxic relationship pattern, and you're setting up habits for the future. I do not want to expose my children to this. Guys tend to have a little bit of a different, it's a little more in-your-face confrontational, whereas the mean girl phenomenon is more passive-aggressive. I still see this in the real world, but I can just walk away and not interact. I had an interaction. I'm a respiratory therapist. I work at a hospital, and there are certain areas of the hospital where the nurses kind of click together, and I experience it as the mean girl phenomenon, where they don't accept you, and they all kind of treat you a certain way for whatever reason. I'm not quite sure. I remember when I started at one hospital, one girl was talking about who she liked and who she didn't like. She was not talking to me. She was talking with someone I was sitting next to. And she started saying, I like you, I don't know you, so I don't know whether I like you. I don't like this person, I don't like this person. This is an adult. It felt like high school to me. I don't interact with her at all if I can get away with it. I don't want anything to do with her. And I can not go back to that hospital. And I don't very often because I don't like being around those kind of people. And I think when we send our kids to school, they don't have the freedom to choose who they can be around, and they have to be exposed to this stuff. I think it's toxic. These social hierarchies are nonsense. Move on. Again, there's a lack of peer-like adult interaction. So in schools, adults, which are the teacher and staff, basically that's all there is, as far as adults are concerned, are the authority figures, not peers. This leaves children without meaningful mentorships and trusted adults. I think that in our lives, this is why I have people in my life that are in their 80s. And it's not about being in their 80s, it's just life experience. I want them as people in my life that are mentors, people that I can trust. I call them in my inner circle. And if you think of people who are older than you as authority figures, and that's all they are, then you're going to not consider them a friend or a trusted advisor. I don't know how to put this into words. I just think it sets kids up for failure. It took me a while to figure out how to interact with someone much older than me without feeling like a kid. I wanted to be a peer. I have another friend, I consider him a good friend, who's in his 70s. And we go out for a drink. We go out and eat dinner together. And we talk about the world. And I learn a lot from him. The belief that setting kids up to believe that adults are just the ones in charge sets them up for failure, because they will not look at them for advice that they can choose to get from. They will go to their friends. And you're going to go to your friends anyway, but you will go to adults. At least I did, when I was in an environment where it wasn't a hierarchy where adults are always just in charge. Adults can be just another person, and you talk with that other person. You talk about life, and they give you feedback, and you talk about life with them and give them feedback. It's much more mature, and I just think that that's so superior than throwing them in schools. Moving on. Social lessons that don't serve kids in schools. They learn social lessons that don't serve the kids in the real world. Schools teach kids to rely on external validation. It is so cliquey, right? It is so, the whole system is based on do what you're told or you're going to get a bad grade, right? It's grades, popularity, teacher approval, rather than fostering intrinsic self-worth. Finding what you're good at and building on that. No, everyone has to do the same thing. Do what you're told and do it no matter what's going on around you. Conflict resolution in schools is often forced or mediated by adults, and I think it deprives kids of learning authentic communication and problem-solving skills. I know when my kids have a conflict, I always ask, did you talk with the other person first? And if the answer is no, I don't even discuss it with them unless I know that there's something I need to get involved in, like they're hitting or something, I don't know. But when we do home education, kids learn to navigate social dynamics naturally, right? Like on the playground with other homeschooling kids. In environments where they feel safe and supported. And you can actually talk to the parent and say, hey, your kid's acting up. Or we could just leave and not interact with that kid anymore, right? I think that home education is vastly superior in that way. There's also an emotional cost to public school socialization. Kids often learn to mask their true selves to fit in. I think this is devastating. It leads to emotional exhaustion for them. At least it did with me. It leads to a lack of authenticity. Who am I? You're looking just to fit in. You just want to fit in. That's all you want to do. I think that is a natural part of the transition from kid to adult. But putting them in a public school system where they teach you all the wrong stuff on the way to act is not the superior route. I think the problems can carry over into adulthood, and it makes it harder to form real connections and to stand firm in your own identity. I think maybe not most, I'm speculating here, but it seems to me as I look around that most people aren't really becoming their true self until they're around 40. It's amazing to me. It's like I have to shed everything that was forced onto me that were protective mechanisms to actually be myself, so I can find people who appreciate me for me. I don't know. But yeah, we send our kids to public schools to go over and have to go on that journey when they can learn real life lessons and figure it out at a much younger age. So actionable takeaways for you today. So reevaluate the idea that public school socialization is a must-have for your kids. I don't think it is. In fact, I think it's going to be a negative. Foster environments where children can develop social skills in diverse and supportive settings, such as family activities, community events, hobbies, just building, getting around other neighbors and just having a good time on the playground. These are activities that are good. When you're out there, it's around Christmas time, and a lot of people are out there doing some kind of community service. We're going to be doing something on the 26th, donating blankets to a local hospital here in Northeast Ohio. And we're doing this through a nonprofit that me and my friend run for veterans. And I'm going to bring my kids. I want them to interact with adults. I want them to see how we interact with them. I think that doing something positive and seeing kids that are sick, that don't have these opportunities to get out there and do this stuff, it's just this worldview is just so, their worldview is going to expand so much outside of school rather than watching it on a TV screen or going into a school and getting this false construct of what life is, because it's not that. Focus on quality over quantity in those social interactions. Remember, you do have freedom of association when you do home education, and I think this helps your kids build genuine relationships rather than superficial ones, which is what I see a lot of people doing in the school system. So in conclusion, the socialization that kids receive in public schools isn't always the gift it's meant out to be. I think bullying, labeling, peer pressure, and cliques don't prepare them for real life at all. In fact, I think it makes them followers. I think it makes them sheep. They conform, they hide, they struggle. I do not want to go down that road in my with my kids in their teenage years. We already got enough problems in this world, and then we're going to go over and add all that stuff, and it's like, gosh, some kids don't make it out. By stepping outside the public school system, we're giving our kids the chance to build a healthier, more authentic relationship with other people and grow into a confident, socially adept adults. Let's embrace a better way to nurture our children's social potential. And with that, I'm going to end today's episode. For those that celebrate Christmas, Merry Christmas. And I just want to say I am very thankful for all of you listening to me just go on rants. I sometimes am very scattered. I purposely allow that to be the case because that's just kind of who I am. I have a brief outline and I elaborate on it, go on my little tangents. And for those of you who appreciate that authenticness of me, even though it can be a little overboard at times, hey, thank you. Just reach out, interact with me. I am on X. I've been on X a lot more recently for some odd reason. I think I'm going to try and expand myself on that a little bit more, just so I can get some interaction with you guys. So follow me at Unschooled Unleashed. And if you haven't given the podcast a rating or review, please do so. We really appreciate it, and it's going to help get the word out that there are people who don't accept the status quo, who are bucking the trends, and they're doing it for the right reasons. So stay curious, stay unschooled, and stay away from the algebra nightmares, and I'll catch you in the next episode. So here's where we roll up our sleeves and bring out the big guns. If you support our mission, then please leave a review. On Unschooled Unleashed, we are talking about using a radical approach to education in today's world, and the more 5-star reviews we have, the more people will feel comfortable with the ideas, strategies, and principles we discuss. It gives legitimacy to our message, and the podcast's algorithm prioritizes us so we can reach more people. You may even have your 5-star review read on our podcast. Before I let you go, I have to pause and say this from the bottom of my heart. Thank you. Your presence here is the fuel that ignites this movement. I am incredibly moved that you trust in us enough to click play. You, my friends, are the caped heroes in this story, the guardians of your family's learning journey, and a beacon of hope for your community. Be bold. Do what you think is best for you and your family. Thanks again for tuning in and taking this courageous leap outside of the box for this educational revolution. Welcome to the front line.